carry all your salary and go and rent one room. Bad politics.
Everything that has to do with
You
society.
must negotiate. If we don't negotiate, when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with double levels. We have been pushed to the wall.
The Hustle. Every weekday from
1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
on Today 95.1 FM.
All right, thank God it's Friday, 24 minutes past 1 o'clock. Apologies for coming up way behind schedule. We just had a bit of technical issues there, but we got all of that sorted out and we're good to go. How are you doing? Good afternoon to everyone hearing the sound of my voice, wherever you are, Port Harcourt, Akwa Ibom, Aba, Owerri, Bayelsa, Delta, wherever you are, online, offline. Thank God it's Friday. Another weekend is upon us and we're all excited. That is not to say that we do not have a lot to talk about. Events don't care about weekends. They happen anytime, every time. And that's why we're here to talk about them and also give you the opportunity to air your views, your opinions, and just vent your thoughts on some of government policies or happenings around us. And we have some to discuss today. We'll be going straight to the point because we don't have a lot of time on our hands. My name is Ifeemi Andrew, by the way, for those who may not know. And I'd like us to start off on this note. Yesterday, we talked about it a little bit, but I want us to focus on it again. The protest that was led to the NDDC headquarters on Aba Road. The youths are saying next week there's going to be, they are threatening, yes, that next week they will disrupt activities of the NDDC. And one of the reasons that was given was because they felt the NDDC, as an interventionist agency, haven't really created a better environment for the people in the region. Remember, the NDDC is supposed to handle 9 states in the region. But many have argued that these youths are going there to protest for just Rivers State wouldn't suffice, because it's not like they are Rivers State solely owns, or is NDDC solely responsible for just Rivers State alone. My question is, in as much as that is true, well, any other youth from any other state can decide to also protest, and I'm sure if they go to protest, they would also mention their states. But let's take a critical look at the accusations that they are making. Now, the leader of the youths who went there under the particular group, Youth Leaders Council, River State Youth Leaders Council, they said that the commission is failing in their responsibility. They say that monies that are meant for the betterment of the people in this region are being used by members of this commission to enrich their cronies, and it has become a political tool or some political settlement. That's what they are saying, and it's not really doing what it ought to do for the reason it was set up for, Niger Delta Development Commission, like the name implies. And I've also said a couple of times that the accusations have been coming on and on again because of a lot of abandoned projects. Some people say poorly carried out projects. And then some would also say that activities of NDDC, even in places that they have activities, does not equate to the amount of monies that they have and that's at their disposal. One would expect more robust and more in-depth projects being carried out, but we don't see those happen. And these are some of the reasons that they cited and that has caused them to come out to call on the NDDC to either correct their steps or risk being hindered in their activities. Some other people have said it's possible the NDDC are only residing in Port Harcourt and not responsible for Rivers State because they're residing here. The same dividends that people in Rivers State are entitled to would be same that people from Abia, from Owerri, from Delta, from Bayelsa, though the rest of them are also entitled to. If we don't have that going round, it would be unfair to say you're talking for just Rivers State. That's the argument for some other people. The fact that Port Harcourt is hosting them doesn't mean that then everything should be here. So my question now is, both ways we want to argue it, any way you want to look at it, do they have the right to come at the NDDC in the manner that they have, seeking for the NDDC to look into its activities? Would you say that the NDDC as a body has really done what it ought to do with regards to what its name implies, Development Commission, Niger Delta Development Commission? Would you say that they have met the standards of that name that they bear, the Development Commission? How much of a development, if you equate the development the NDDC has brought to any or some of the communities, equate that to the resources that they have, would you say that they have done well, or they are doing well across the 9 states, not just Rivers State? And again, why is it that most of the times when we hear this protest happen, it's mostly from people in Rivers, Bayelsa, and sometimes Delta? There are other states in the Niger Delta region that are under the jurisdiction of the NDDC, but we don't see those states have people who protest activities of the NDDC that much. Maybe at least none that I know of, or not like I hear of any too much. You always hear from Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta. These 3 people majorly are where you find youths that protest activities of the NDDC and say that some things are not being done properly. As against what we usually hear, what we hear on the front is that monies from here are being used to settle political cronies and the rest of them. Is that correct? Is that true? Is that what's obtainable? Is that what is happening? Well, at least that's what the group is saying. They are supposed to be an interventionist agency. They're isn't saying that security is also their concern, and they should be contributing to see how we tackle insecurity, but they don't feel that the NDDC is doing enough. We'll be looking at this and something else. I think it's no longer news to many of us, but we'll be looking at it again. Recently, a journalist in Port Harcourt was suffered police brutality. We'll also look at that when we come back. Let's take a short commercial break first. We'll be right back.
The storm is over. Storm is over. There are leaders who are sure but do not have capacity. There are few who have capacity but are not sure. There are many more yet who do not have capacity and are equally unsure. Today, I congratulate a leader with capacity who is equally sure. A leader who says he will do and matches his words with action. The people's governor. I congratulate His Excellency, the very distinguished and sure Executive Governor of Rivers State, Chief Nyesom Ezenwo-Wike, CON, GSSRS, POS Africa, and his very elegant and indefatigable Deputy Governor, Dr. Mrs. Ipalbo Banigo, DSSSRS, for a successful election, swearing-in ceremony, and extremely impactful tenure as Governor and Deputy Governor of my state. Yes, my state, Rivers State, for the next 4 years of your second tenure. I am indeed very proud of what both of you, together with the People's Chairman, Bro Felix Obua, represents, particularly for the youth and children yet unborn in this region and Nigeria as a whole. I equally congratulate the most distinguished Senator Magnus Abe, Dr. Dakoko Peterside, the very suave and debonair Chief Dumolulu Briggs, and the Right Honorable Performing Minister Chibike Rotimi Amechi. Indeed, the bigger picture makes all of you winners, and as actors with the understanding that we are guided by the script of life written by nature, we must learn to surrender to the ultimate director in nature and fate. Congratulations to our governor. Congratulations to us all. This message was made possible by friends of Andy Akwative, a social reformer, nation builder, public affairs commentator, and author of the Amazon best-selling book Unveiled: How to Run a Profitable Hospital Business in Nigeria.
This is today's hustle. One show that embodies objectivity. We raise the bar in examining the good, the bad, the sordid, everything that has to do with society.
In America, you buy a big house and you pay gradually for 30 years of your life. That is politics. In Nigeria, you carry all your salary and go and rent one room. Bad politics.
Everything that has to do with
You
society.
must negotiate. If we don't negotiate, when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with double leverage. We have been pushed to the wall.
The Hustle. Every weekday from
1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
on Today 95.1 FM.
All right, welcome back. It's still today's hustle on Today 95.1 FM, your premium talk radio station. And before we went on that short commercial break, we first raised the issue of a protest to the NDDC headquarters on Aba Road. So we'll be waiting to see how that will turn out next week. A quick reminder, if you want to contribute on the show, you can use our SMS portal. You can send your text messages to 0701 933 9962. That's our SMS portal. You can send your text messages to that number, and we would be taking them on the show as soon as we can. Well, now to something else. Yes, I was saying it's no longer news that a journalist in Port Harcourt was suffered police brutality. Kofi Bartels, that's his name, and it got many talking because before then there was another woman. If you'd listened to this hustle, you would have heard a woman we had on the show too who spoke about police brutality on her path. And then we also on the news talked about someone, a young man who was killed in Umuahia, I think, yes, Abia State as well, by a police officer. And in Lagos, we have same report, and it just scatters everywhere. And for Kofi Bartels, it was more because it was taken to many people in the form of shock, because people felt like this is a journalist, so this should not happen. And it forced people to begin to ask questions, or even other journalists, how secure is a journalist in doing his job, the job that he ought to do. And it also forces people to begin to ask questions like, what set of individuals do we have in the security system if everything that we're hearing is what really that was said by some of these police officers that carried out the act. Well, so far, we know that on the news, if you didn't hear, Dakuko Peterside, Nemasa Boss, has also come out to talk about this, and the IGP has also come out to talk about this. Now, in fact, for Kofi Bartels' story was very interesting because he said that he was trying to intervene on behalf of someone who was being harassed by the police officers, and he said he later got to the station. He was beaten on the road first and then taken to the police station, and he got to their office, and then about 6 of them, he said, also took turns in, punching, kicking, and the rest of them. And some of the words that was said, he said one of the officers, I'm quoting him now, he said, in fact, one swore he would have wasted me if his team was the one that picked me up. Now, that line, that particular statement really caught my attention and began to get me to think. Recently, many have been talking about NSAS for a long time, and there were a committee was set up to look into the SARS reform, and that report has been sent to the president. How that will be handled or what the report contains would we have to wait to see where it would lead us to. But the president has ordered the IGP and Justice Minister to work out implementation of report on SARS reform. What is the recruitment like for police officers, and what kind of orientation? Because if you listen to this man, it sounded like they spoke from a place of hate. That's what it sounds like if you were to go by the statements or the statements made by Kofi Bartels and the explanation he gave and the sort of words that they used. It suggests that they spoke from a place of hate or from a place of nothing would happen. If we don't have proper discipline instilled within the police force, proper discipline to see that even though we have some bad eggs, we know that there are very good police officers out there. I've met a few of them myself, very wonderful police officers who would see you at night and give you a lift and take you to where you're going safely. We would ensure that when they see you in situations that they know it's not really safe, they try to ensure your security first. I've met a lot of them, a couple of them. But then again, even God said it. It happens that one bad thing can spoil a good thing for life. So that's the situation we find ourselves now with this particular occurrence that's now getting on the increase. It's now happening to every other person at different times, from the high and mighty, low, ordinary Nigerians. Everybody is beginning to suffer of this. The president then ordered the IGP, Justice Minister, to work out implementation of the report. He directed the Minister of Justice and the National Human Rights Commission to work out modalities for the implementation of the report of the Presidential Panel on the reform of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad within 3 months. The press release was signed by the Deputy Director of Information at the State House, Atta Issa, and said Mr. Buhari gave the directive on Monday while he received the 2,804-page report from the panel headed by the Executive Secretary of NHRSC, Tony Ojukwu, at the State House. Well, the panel also directed the IGP to unravel the identity of 22 officers involved in the violation of human rights of innocent citizens. Now, my question now is, this is not the first time. We had someone killed at Rumokoro. We've had other instances of police brutality, and we've heard of police officers that were arrested. I think the kind of publicity that the act of those officers get, that's the kind of publicity people want to see when they get punished, to serve as deterrent to others and proper orientation of all of our police officers. Because sometimes, yes, we live in a country where perhaps the economic situation has caused everybody to become what I don't understand or what I don't have a word to qualify at the moment. But because you're a law enforcement agent and you wear that uniform and you're given a gun, makes you more of an example as against, how would I put it? As against trying to hide yourself behind the ills or the flaws in the system. You are an example. I don't know what the psychology, if they have a psychologist in the police that tries to orientate or once in a while evaluate the psyche of some of these police officers, because I'm pretty sure that they also go through stuff that might lead them to act in the manner that they do sometimes. We don't know what kind of orientation or information or reasons that would force some of them to act in the manner that they do. But then it calls for a serious check in our security architecture. We need to begin to look at how we can properly, not just train physically or recruit a police officer, recruit any person to become a police officer, but to see that before you attain or carry that tag, police officer, you have gone through adequate training mentally, psychologically, physically, emotionally. You have to be looked at adequately in all of these aspects to see that, yes, we don't have, at the end of the day, people abuse the powers that they are given. And the worst of all is the fact that when these things happen, yes, we hear the police say they're disciplining this person, the officer was arrested, the person was this, and that's the end. But then that's what I was saying about the publicity that the act that they carry out. Let's say, for instance, a police officer accidentally shot someone. It's everywhere. The police is talking, everybody's talking, and then this police officer gets punished or is arrested, in quotes, like the police would say. I think now the gap is the fact that people don't get to see what then happens to that officer that was arrested. People don't get to hear what happens later. So the idea in public space is, or even within other police officers who might not be within that jurisdiction, is, well, nothing would happen. Anything goes. I don't know if you get the point. So we don't know what this report would properly entail, but some of the suggestions were, they talked about some officers that should be the identity unraveled, and compensations that were directed to be paid of various sums in 45 complaints, and public apologies in 5 complaints, and to obey court orders in 5 matters. All of these were in the report. The panel also recommended the establishment of state and local government police and the renaming of SARS to Anti-Robbery Section, which was its original name, and to make the section operate under the intelligence arm of the police, which is not to execute anything, but to gather intelligence and report to the police. The president said that was very happy with the work of the panel, and then thanked the panel members for working hard towards the realization of the presidential directive. The big question on everybody's lips is, how do we stop this, and how do we get to see that there is an optimum level of discipline amongst our police officers? We'll be going to the phone lines now. Let's get your contributions quickly on the first half of the show before we go for the news update at 2 o'clock. If you want to call us, the lines are 0817-000951 or 0810-951-0951. If you want to send a text message, you can do so using the SMS portal 0701-933-9962. That's our SMS portal. Let's hear what you have to say. Well, how do we react to this? How do we solve this problem? How do we curb this menace? It's gradually getting out of hand. Hello, good afternoon.
Andrew, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
I remain Ruben Izu Jr.
Okay.
Andrew, I am the younger brother to late Izu Joseph, the footballer.
Okay.
I know where this whole thing is coming from. I am repeating the same thing I said when my brother was killed by the military. I said, if there is no stiffer punishment to serve as a deterrent. Now, during the period my brother was murdered, we did everything possible, even to the point where the presidential panel was set up to investigate what really happened. And as I'm talking to, from 2016, he died till this moment. That report has been presented to the president. Nothing has been done. Recently, Kolade was also killed in Lagos. A lot of persons have suffered these things, and a report from the SARS committee has also been sent from the Human Rights Commission to the presidency. They've received it. Kolade, I'm telling you the truth, as long as these reports are not implemented, those who have been found wanting, punished with the necessary section of the laws, I am telling you, these policemen are very rare. They come out in public and they tell you, I will waste you and nothing will happen. And why? You ask yourself, where are they coming from that? They are coming because they have not been seeing their colleagues being punished. Otherwise, it will serve as a deterrent. So all I want to say is, it's a pity that Kofi Battles came through this, because even when my brother died, later the army came out and said they never knew he was a footballer. And I guess they never knew from the onset that he was Kofi Battles. And many more will go the same way, because they will not know who is the president's son, who is the governor's son, until the deed has happened. May God help Nigeria in Jesus' name.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. Hello, good afternoon.
No, Andrew.
You're welcome. Gift. How's your Negua?
Yeah, thank you. Your Negua is fine, my brother.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Kofi Battles matter. If you remember, I was the first to break that news to you, even as I know you are aware as a media man, but then there was no information from your own end. I decided to bring up this very matter. Today that now we are trying to treat it. It's not too bad, but to me, it's somehow late. Frankly speaking, as a person, I'm not happy. And injury to one is injury to all. Whether media personnel, whether you call it students, whether you call it market woman, you call it conductor or bus driver, anyone who you are assaulting, my brother, it will lead to the next person. I remember this Junior, the person that just called now, the elder brother when he was murdered in Okaki here. I remember the radio stations all over in River State, they take up this matter. Up to date, nothing has come out from that report. Just like what you stated earlier, my brother, without punishment and not just adequate punishment, they will continue to threaten our lives. Look at Kofi Battles' testimony. That they even be threatening him, that they will even put him in one of the cells outside from threatening his life, either to kill him or whatever. They told him to his face, point blank, that we'll take you to one of our special cells, that we are aware that guys are sleeping their fellow guys, and they will deal with your enemies. Just imagine the audacity. Imagine the type of words coming out from police officers. And such things are going on. The authorities are aware that such cells are existing. Why must you allow such a rubbish to even take place in your cells? Is it not a place to correct people? Imagine what is going on. And if a journalist goes to that place to bring out this report, they will come on air. We are not aware of such a thing. But they told Kofi Battles to his face when they took him to their station. Huh? Look at what they did to the young guy. It is too bad. If you don't talk, it will happen over and over. I have told you my own personal experience. Abuja Estate, the same River State, 2002. They used sledgehammer on my head in the name of raiding the area. That policeman was killed. It was between police and drug guys that incident took place. But what they were doing was to break door to door, bringing out people, and I was one of the victims. One woman that they called Madame, she was the one who threw my bad younger brother, rescued me from that cell with that injury on my head. So anything police brutality, first hand, I have experienced it, so I know what Kofi Battles is going through. So nobody should come and deceive himself. These police guys are learned, they are aware of all the things they are doing. It is too bad. Thank you.
All right, Gift. Thank you very much. The SMS portal is still very open, 0701-933-9962. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andrew, my brother.
You're welcome.
This is Ambassador Momo.
All right, go ahead. Momo.
I want to tell you, sorry. Andrew, you know, I pass through these people. And the way these people, they don't want to know, and they don't want to hear from you. If they get you, if they catch you, you remember the day their mother born you. And after that, they will tell you, I can destroy you. Nothing going to happen. Nobody will hear from you. You are idiot. And before you know, the blood don't fool your mouth. The blood don't fool your body. And after they will tell you that they will deny that they are not the one that killed you. They don't know you. So, my brother, I don't know how federal government going to do this thing. When the governor shout, they say our governor too complains. The little thing they complain, but the man say the truth. The way they attack, operate, my brother. Even though you drive a motor, you will see the way they handle the mature. You will pity the man. So, well, Kofi, God is there with you. No problem, sir. Thank you. God bless you.
Hello, Today 95.1 FM.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling from an I trouble no one.
Okay.
I feel very bad that this kind of thing happens to the journalists in River State. At the same time, I'm happy because it has been happening on daily basis. It has been happening to so many persons, but no one hears about it. God use that as a case study so that people will be aware and open the evil and the killing police are committing mostly in River State here. It's worse in River State than any other place I can talk about. Then, for me, police should start immediately after they begin anything. Both the commander of that squad and the rest of people on that team, it should be sacked as a lesson for others. They should be shown their way home, not just their way home, but they should spend some years in prison because it's an assault on the Kofi Batter and it's also a violation against press freedom. So it should be taken seriously. And I also feel bad if it becomes issue of APC and PDP, you will see people will come out in the name of society and they protest on the street. But today it's because it's the right of a common human being in the street. They will never come out to protest. So Tiger has not come up one day in River State to protest against the abuse of SARS in River State. And they are aware of it. Today, they are very calm because it's not issue of PDP or issue of APC. So they're just talking with their low key. Where are they? They are quiet. So for me as a person, you should start those police without mercy. They should show their way home so that others will learn from it. At the end of the day, they will go back and begin to beg and beg and beg. Those things will be done over and over. Now, in the issue of NDDC, I am happy the youth have come up to say that NDDC was established as an intervention body. Very, very fine. If they're not doing it, let them go to the street and protest and remind them of their own duties. But the last time I checked, NDDC was not made to intervene in the issue of security because I know the security of those states. Those states have their own state governors. So if Rivers State are going to talk about issue of security, they should go and meet that governor.
Wasn't security situation the reason why it was created? Because if you Northeast Development Commission is also been created because of the issues that happened with the Boko Haram destructions and all of that, and they thought about creating the Northeast Development Commission. And it was at the heightened time of the militancy issue in this region and all the others that happened that gave rise to the birth of the Niger Delta Development Commission.
Very fine. And mind you that those guys were protesting and they were kidnapping and pipeline organization in River State in a few years back before they were given amnesty to drop their arms. For what? So that the government then used this medium to intervene in the issues they were talking about. Because
hello.
So my own point is that this is the question is NDC alone, but if they're talking about other issues concerning the rights of the youth, they should do what? Praise them, I support them, but mentioning the security on them, I don't support it. They don't have the soldiers on their control, they don't have the police on their control.
Thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from? Okay.
Yes, the assertion that NDDC is used to settle their political cronies is absolutely right. You see, the chairman is not actually the one in charge. The person that nominated him or her to the presidency, they have control over that person. I'll give you a case study, live one.
and maybe you yourself can come investigate around here. And I'm speaking from Ando. When they want to take a particular big man from the other opposite party, they will promise the person a contract to work on a project around the environment, and they will start the work. Within a short time, they will see that they will start constructing drainage and later they'll pour lateral and whatever, and that project will not go beyond that level. In that region, there's a project like that. Another person from a big party was the constructed that man to start a project. And immediately before the election, you see everything was going on. The bulldozers came, this one came, and they were constructing the drainage. I'm telling you, after the election, that's the end of it. Nothing has happened now. And if this environment, they are lucky, they pour some tar on the other side of the other side to some extent, that they shouldn't be grateful. So you see, this particular thing is being used to settle their political cronies. And those projects are hardly concluded. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's take some of our text messages first before we continue with the phone lines. This person says, hello, Andy. There should be heavy punishment for senior officers, etc. When a little child breaks or destroys one's windscreen, his or a parent pays for the broken windscreen of the car because the damage was done by his or a child. Secondly, they don't obey the judgment of the court. If they do, they'll be conscious of their act. Mr. B sent in this one. Someone said, let these people that want to protest the NDDC office on Monday rethink and behave well. And remember that NDDC belonged to 9 states, not only Rivers State. If the president removes the NDDC office to another state from there, you would see people talk anyhow to the president. But now the people will not want the people that behave like children. Kehinde Alamu from Port Harcourt. Well, you wouldn't say that they don't have a right to protest if they feel like the institution isn't doing what it ought to. They have that right. Let's not mistake that. They have a right to protest, by the way. Andrew, I know we have unprofessional officers, but on our own side, we are used to obstructing and fighting police officers while executing their lawful duties and resisting of arrest. Thank you. I think we've argued this a lot of times. I think I've had even some police officers call on the show and talk about how Nigerians act towards them. And I'm saying, has it always been like this? I think the answer is no, because there was a time where I know very well Olokpa. That was the name I grew up to know. And I knew that they carried these patterns, and there was this very huge respect when you say police officer. It's almost like when you see a soldier in those days. And I tell people that's beginning to also fade. When you see a soldier, there's this feeling you have. All right. But now we're seeing this military every time, everywhere. It's beginning to lose gradually in our minds the relevance that comes with it. Have people always been aggressive towards the police? I don't think it's true. I don't think people have always been from the beginning. So something must have gone wrong somewhere that has now caused people to always act in the manner that they do. And don't forget that the police is also a product of the society. The people who are recruited as police officers are people who are in the society. Some of them have different mindsets. That's why I was talking about. I don't know what the recruiting method like. I looked at some of the requirements and some of the exercises that they have to go through, different kind of exams. And I feel like it's still not enough to get someone to be a police officer. A lot more is required, I think. Some level of all police officers, they are intelligent people. Most of them are intelligent people, very intelligent people. But then you still wonder why they act in the manner that they do, regardless of what the law says or what the law says about their job and how they should go about it. In fact, even if the law doesn't say certain things, common sense and just the fact that I need to behave as a responsible citizen that I am is also a threat. So from this angle, yes, I'm aware that people also oppose police officers, act unrudely to police officers. But then when did this all start? And even if people do, as a police officer, especially when it's not life-threatening, and I think their job also permits that in certain situations where it's life-threatening, perhaps someone, he wields a weapon and you try to attack a police officer and all of that, he has a right to defend himself. If a police officer is coming to arrest you, I think you should know why they are coming to arrest you. And I don't think it's wrong if a police officer says you're under arrest, we're taking you to the station for this reason, that reason. I don't think it takes 2 minutes to say that and inform the person before you ask the person to come. And if the person knows that if he follows you to the station, he's going to go there and answer questions. If you tell him you're coming to answer questions, if he knows that if he goes with you, he would answer only questions, and if you see there's nothing wrong, you would let him go for free, I don't think the person would resist you. But now the fear is the fact that people have grown with the idea that if the police comes to ask you to come to the station for arrest, first of all, the method in which they will do it, I've experienced it myself, so I know what I'm saying. The method in which they will do it, and the fact that when you get to the station and possibly you're kept behind the counter or in a cell, you'd have to pay money to get out, is another problem. So most of the times, if you don't have, possibly you can't afford a lawyer, or you don't have anybody in certain places in society, it becomes difficult. So maybe sometime we'll find out time to really conversate about this. This one says, Andrew, let's watch out if this police report will be implemented in 3 months. Nigeria is not moving anywhere with the type of incompetent leaders. Sonny Uzoba, I think you're talking about the SARS reform report that the president has ordered for implementation. Hello, Andy. There should be heavy punishment. I took that one before. Good afternoon, Andrew. I'm still surprised that media guys use the word allegedly, which I don't think I used the word allegedly. I told you what the exact for word statements that the victim Kofi Bartels used in the course of the whole action. So this one has happened to an OAP. It's very unfortunate to go from Port Harcourt. Good afternoon, Mr. Andy. I'm really disappointed in the manner in which Mr. Kofi was dealt with. Only Jehovah will save his children. Okay, presently we have no federal government, no security agencies. We have a federal government, please. Thank you. I need to correct that impression. We have a federal government and we have security agencies. If you say we do not have a very, very competent or very, very optimum security agencies, then I would say, okay, we might make a case for you. But don't say we don't have security agencies, because we do. Imagine if there was no police, no military, no nothing for just a week. Trust me, you wouldn't like how things would look like. So I will be wrapping up here and go for the news update. And the second half of the show, by the way, we are going to take a look at something very critical aside all of this. It's about the minimum wage still. It keeps coming back one way or the other. This is because PDP governors have said that they would and they can. They are ready to pay 30,000 naira. My question now is 30,000 naira new minimum wage, if and when implemented, is it payable, or are we going to also have workers being owed just like they were owed when it was 18,000 naira? After the news update, we'll talk about that. Stay tuned.